All right, the president has been a critic of social media, saying, you know, it's funny how they're always trying to work on bias on the right-leaning sites, not so much on the left-leaning ones. In other words, anytime they're trying to rein something in, the president says it's always conservative opinion, never liberal opinion. Jack Dorsey of Twitter fame acknowledging he himself is of a liberal bias, but he tries not to let that interfere with either the postings and or the views of those who use Twitter. To Fox News contributor Kat Timpf on fears of censorship and whether they're justified, and that in trying to correct this, Kat, they'll selectively correct what they don't like, that is conservative opinion, and not what they do. That's what the president is fearing. Does he have a right to fear it?
I think he does have a right to fear it. I think that humans are humans and we all have our own biases, and it's very difficult for us to not let our biases sort of impact what we do, and that includes our jobs. And if Twitter's your job and you have a left-leaning bias, which Jack's admitted the company does, it's going to be hard for those biases to not seep into the way you do your job. That's just the way that the human mind works.
You know, you have to wonder, though, what would set it off? If you come up with sophisticated algorithms, Kat, to deal with this sort of thing, you catch words or phrases or a combination of words, that's one way to talk about explosive bias, or one that is threatening. But that's hard to do, too.
It is very difficult to do. That's the question here, is what do we actually do about it? I'm not somebody who thinks that there should be government regulation. I'm somebody who was a little concerned by President Trump's tweet saying we won't let that happen. Not so much concerned as really confused. This is a private company, and they can actually ban whoever they want to ban. There's no constitutional right to be able to go on Twitter and tweet your feelings or tweet your opinions or thoughts or whatever you want to tweet. So that is the confusion. I think that public pressure is going to be very important here, and have conservatives continuing to speak out about the fact that they notice this and that they are concerned about bias.
You know, when you were joining me on Saturday on the weekend show, one of the things we got into was the fact that even Bill Maher, no fan of some of the real heated and virulent talk, says that to shut any of it down is a dangerous direction to go in. And it's the kind of thing that will only compound the troubles, whether you like it or not. What did you make of that?
I completely agree. I disagree with Bill Maher on a lot of things, but
He's talking about Alex Jones, I
completely agree. I think that what are people so afraid of in terms of giving everyone a right to speak and everyone a voice? Now, Alex Jones is obviously an awful human. He said some absolutely awful things, so I think that that's a bit of an extreme case. But when you talk about Twitter, I think that everyone should be able to have a voice, and I think that it's up to us as individuals to kind of decide what's real and what's not real. I'm not very concerned about things like fake news being out there, because you know, there's trolls on Twitter that go out and they purposely troll people, but you have to, as a responsible user, be able to kind of sort that stuff out on your own.
Now, you can do that. You do that. You have a lot of smart friends, but is everyone able to do that? Because there are people on the left and the right who buy as gospel something that they've read online, and they are convinced that it's true.
I don't know what to do about that, because like you said, there's trolls that get shut down and they just create another account. So I think that policies that are trying to go against fake news, I think that they're well-intentioned. I think that a lot of people blame fake news for a lot of problems, but I don't know how you ultimately eliminate it, because one account gets shut down, you can just create another one very easily. I've had people who troll me on a personal level who I've blocked, who then create another account to continue to troll me on a personal level. So if I'm getting that just on a personal level, I can't imagine on a larger scale how often that happens.
You know, we were doing, Kat, you might recall, a segment this past week on this GoFundMe page for Peter Strzok, and one viewer, not a fan of mine, calling them Trump or whatever, there are a few out there, or more than a few, all right, maybe hundreds of thousands. Anyway, said that I had donated $100 to his GoFundMe page, and others were picking up on that and buying that and saying it's gospel truth. Didn't happen, never did. But it became accepted because it was repeated and repeated again on the internet, and there's no discerning it or no separating it. It becomes a truth simply because someone started, others repeated it, and off we went.
That's incredibly frustrating, Neil, and I know I've dealt with that in the past. I've had someone misconstrue my comments before and say, well, Kat Timpf said this, and then it gets attention, and next thing you know, it becomes a reality that Kat Timpf said this, even though Kat Timpf didn't say that. My question is, though, what do we do about it? Because it's really a lot to ask for Twitter to be policing every single post that's ever posted and fact-checking every single post. You just absolutely can't do that. So you need to just remind people that not everything you see on Twitter is gospel, and a lot of it, quite frankly, is a lot of garbage.
Yeah. All right, Kat, always good seeing you. Thank you very, very much. Meanwhile, a lot of advocacy groups are going after Facebook right now, saying, you know, they're beyond help because they do little to try to correct this sort of stuff, police it, let alone just sort of monitor it. So there's a move to break it up. How the company would be broken up is anyone's guess, but just break it up because it's too big for its britches.